Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm going to change things up a little bit today and get some feedback from people like you and me. I personally need a bit of a break, even if it's just one video, from editing content from US and Canadian media, who keeps telling us what they want us to hear, instead of what we actually need to hear. So today I'm not going to show any traditional news reports. Quite frankly, I'm a bit tired of the gaslighting and the quiet censorship that's going on. Instead, I want to share feedback from everyday citizens, people from both sides of the border, and even someone from Europe as well. Now, obviously, this doesn't represent everyone. There are still people who generally don't care, who stay inside their own bubble with that "it doesn't affect me, so I don't care" mindset. But the voices you're about to hear today gives you confirmation that you're not alone. Today's backdrop comes from Pierre, who sent in this photo from Mount St. Joseph in Quebec. He also sent me another photo of the Mount Majestic Astronomical Observatory, which I will show in a future video. Thanks for sending this over, Pierre. Just a quick reminder before I continue. We now have a new Discord server up, co-managed between me and Josh from the Enemy From Within channel. If you're looking to chat with people from the community, share links and articles, or even post photos of your pets, check out our Discord server. It's free to join and the link is in the description below. Alright, let's get started with the first video from a US citizen sharing his warnings to the rest of the world.
I regard the United States as the most lawless and dangerous country in the world by far.
And with that being said, I'm going to say this plainly, without sugarcoating it. If you're thinking about visiting the United States right now, don't. This is not a travel advisory vibe. This is a reality check. The climate here is volatile, unpredictable, charged. People are getting pew-pewed in places that are supposed to be normal. Schools, grocery stores, highways, churches, synagogues, neighborhoods. And yes, even white people are getting caught in it. No one is exempt.
Now this is the part I wish those who are still going to the US would really understand. No one is exempt from CBP border issue. No one is exempt from possibly being targeted by ICE. And no one is exempt from racism or hostility towards Canadians. Just because it doesn't happen to you, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And doesn't mean it won't happen. Look, everyone's free to do whatever they choose. But just don't complain if something happens to you while you're in the US.
But let's be honest for a second. If you are a person of color, if you are black, if you are brown, if you are yellow, you are not just visiting a country. You are playing Russian roulette and entering a risk zone. That's not hyperbole. That's basic math. Between political extremism, racial hostility, gun culture with zero breaks, an administration using Gestapo-like law enforcement, and a Republican-led government pouring gasoline instead of water, the margin of safety is razor thin. One wrong interaction, one wrong assumption, one wrong place at the wrong time. And before anyone says, but it's not everywhere, that's the point. You don't know where it will be next. Vacations are supposed to be relaxing. Sightseeing should not involve hypervigilance. You should not need an exit strategy on vacation. So if you're abroad, stay abroad. If you are planning a trip here, redirect it. Your money, your joy, your safety. Put it somewhere that actually values all three. This isn't anti-America. This is pro-life, pro-safety, pro-reality. Protect yourself. Choose peace over passport stamps. And do not let anyone guilt you into ignoring what you can clearly see. That's the warning. And that's the read. This is the Notorious JTB, notoriously opinionated, signing out.
There are two things I really want to emphasize in what he said. First, I've seen people on social media saying that it's not happening everywhere, and you can just avoid the places like Portland, Minnesota, and go where ICE supposedly isn't. But the reality is ICE is everywhere, even if it's not being reported in the news. Like I said earlier, a Chick-fil-A opening seems to be more important to report than ICE detaining people. Second, this is reality. This is taking the red pill in the movie The Matrix, not the blue pill where everything is butterfly and roses inside a comfortable bubble. People need to accept that this is the world we're living in right now. Things have changed, and those changes are going to last for generations. Holding on to the past, or relying on history, or clinging to good feelings from before can put people in very uncomfortable and risky situations. Now I want to move on to another citizen video, this time coming out of London. I think it's important to hear perspectives from outside of North America. Let's take a look.
You wouldn't have gone on holiday to Nazi Germany, would you? You wouldn't have gone and spent your hard-earned money in a state that was actively committing a genocide, would you? You wouldn't have knowingly gone and spent your money and therefore supported an economy of a state that was knowingly committing human rights monstrosities, would you? So why the fuck are we still going to America on vacation? How many countries has the US bombed in the last 12 months? Yemen, Somalia, Iran, Iraq, Syria. They've obviously massively funded the genocide in Palestine. They've kidnapped the Venezuelan president. Oh, they're kidnapping their own people on the streets and shooting people in the face if they dare to try and stop them. You want to go there?
This is a perspective from outside of Canada and the United States. Just keep that in mind. Caroline is from London, and this is how citizens view the United States. I've spoken to people from Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, and many other European countries, and they're just as angry about the United States as we are in Canada. Same goes for people around the world. And she's not wrong when it comes to what the United States has done, through bombings, kidnappings, and overall hostility towards visitors, and even their own citizens. Yet, somehow, I don't know why, but people continue to turn a blind eye to this. They just carry on as if nothing ever happened.
You want to choose to go there? I can only assume that if you've managed to get a visa to go to the United States of embarrassment, you likely have the opportunity to go to many other places. Explain it to me like I'm 5. There's one thing, it's difficult to avoid supporting America in some sense because so much is owned by them, so many companies are owned by them, and I'm trying not to be too judgmental, but if you're actively choosing to get on a plane, pay your visa fees, and go spend money in that hellhole, can you explain it to me?
I'd honestly like to understand as well. I'm not a psychologist, and I don't claim to be anyone that understands human behavior. But I would genuinely love to understand what goes on in the mind of someone who continues to support a country that is actively turning the world upside down. Can anyone explain it? If you can, I'd really like to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
Because I don't understand. The whole country music hype that was going on in 2025, like, you could call me a tin foil hat, whatever. I believe that was propaganda. I think that was a deliberate campaign to make America cool again, to distract us from the disgusting things that they keep doing. And I fear that a lot of us fell for it. A lot of us ate it up. America is fascist. And if you are choosing to go there for a jolly, you are supporting fascism.
Now, I don't know much about this country music hype in 2025. That's new to me. But then again, I don't really listen to country music, so I have no idea. That said, she's not wrong. The United States and the current Trump regime and cabinet are all behaving in a fascist way, and it's time the world stood up to it. I really hope this specific video helps Canadians watching, especially those who might feel like no one in their inner circle cares about what's going on. This video is meant to show you that people around the world, they do see what's happening and they are standing with us. Now, moving back a little closer to home, CBC Saskatchewan interviewed some of our Canadian peers to get their perspective on the United States.
We don't really want to spend our money in a country that is undertaking certain actions within the world, that's destabilizing the world and likely undertaking illegal activity onto other countries.
We've certainly curtailed our plans to visit the United States and buy goods from that country.
Do you have any plans to go to the States in this?
No, I do not. I wouldn't want to. I think it's challenging to go back there now. There's too many questions, searching your phones, asking what you're doing. It's just not worth the hassle. It's intimidating crossing the border. Whether you're, even when you don't have anything to be worried or intimidated about, it can be stressful.
Now, this CBC report shows the side of Canadians who are choosing not to go. I also understand that there's always two sides. And quite frankly, Canadian media, especially CTV, has mostly shown the side of Canadians who are continuing to travel to the United States or continuing to buy US products. I'm sure CBC also interviewed people who are still going, who have no issues traveling there, and who are perfectly fine taking that blue pill. What I'm focusing on right now is what I see in this report. So take into account what these Canadians are saying. And maybe more importantly, embrace the fact that there are other Canadians out there who feel the exact same way.
It's kind of scary with all the news I'm hearing and everything. I am an international student, so I do have get a visa and then go in there. So there's a lot of things I have to do before I travel to the US, and then if I get to the US, there might be other problems there as well. So I just trying to be safe.
I moved to the United States in the early 90s, and then I just moved back here just this last summer. I didn't like the politics. I didn't like a lot of the changes in the regulations and stuff, and it just felt safer to be back in Canada.
I have kids and grandkids, and they changed their mind about going to Disney because my daughter says, I absolutely refuse to go to the States. She doesn't feel safe. I hate to point out Trump, but it's one of the obvious reasons. If the politics changes in the States, for sure I think we would go back.
Now, I know some of you have commented in my videos that you're done with the United States until Trump is gone. And that's fair, that's your decision if you want. But keep in mind, things don't magically get better the moment the orange guy's out of office. The true colors of the right, and the fact that Congress has done shit all to stop Trump's illegal activity, and the 77 million people who continue to support his actions, all of this still exists, and it will exist even after Trump is gone.
Latest political action with going over to Venezuela, it's just what? What's next, And so you don't know, because that was very unexpected, it seems like. So, who knows?
Very unstable, and instability in any country with politics makes you question whether you would go there and take children or your grandkids there. It wouldn't be a wise choice.
I don't want to get down there and not be able to get back. I'm not afraid to go down. She and my views on Trump are a little bit different, so I don't have the same issues with him as she does. So, yeah, I would not fear to go down, and I'm not afraid to cross the border either. I liked shopping in North Dakota.
Any specific spots?
Why not? Part of the problem is the exchange on the dollar. That makes it harder to go down because your money doesn't go as far, right? Anything they could do? Well, if they had hotel rooms on par with Canadian money, I would be down there.
Well, here we have an example of someone who took the blue pill, and someone who's very much a me person. I also find it interesting how she blames everything on the exchange rate, claiming it makes it harder to go to Minot to do her shopping. It's been a while since I did one of these exchange rate comparisons, but as of editing this video, on January 12th, 2026, for every $1 Canadian, we're getting 0.71849 US dollars. 1 year ago, for every loonie, we were getting 0.6932 US dollars. So it really makes me wonder why the exchange rate is always being used as an excuse. I'm sure this woman went last year when the dollar was lower, but she won't go now because the dollar's higher? I don't know, I can't explain it. But then again, she says she has no problems with Trump, so we'll just leave it at that. I know many of us have people in our lives, like this woman we just heard from, and I'm sure it frustrates the hell out of you. These are often the same people who say things like Canada has turned into a mess, the Liberals are destroying the country, or that they want out and they want to leave Canada altogether. Whenever I see these comments, my first thought is always, why not just leave? Nothing's stopping you. But at the same time, I know these people don't seem to realize how lucky we are in Canada. Before COVID, I lived in a developing country, and I saw firsthand what life can be like elsewhere. I witnessed what it's like not to have clean drinking water, not to have a grocery store available, and to see families forced to let relatives die because they couldn't afford the medical bill. That first time living outside of Canada completely opened my eyes and got me out of my spoiled little shit bubble. Yeah, I'm not afraid to admit that I was in a bubble before. After that, I never complained about Vancouver traffic. I never complained about waiting at a hospital or a doctor's office either. Personally, I wish some of these people complaining could experience life outside of our borders and see what many countries far less fortunate than Canada have to deal with every day. I know Canadians living abroad know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry for this vent, but sometimes it does get to me. And that's also why I wanted to close with a clip that I shared a month ago as a reminder. While some of the loudest Canadian voices want out of Canada, there are people in far worse situations who are incredibly grateful to be here. With that said, I want to close off this video with a simple reminder. This is a video that I frequently watch myself because it reminds me how fortunate I am to have been born in Canada. If you're still here watching up to this point, I genuinely appreciate your support for my channel. I'll finish off this video with a truthful reminder. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
I ran past this Canadian flag over here, and amidst all the hate that Canada's getting, there's a few words that I did want to say. 25 years ago, my family came to this country. We came here because that flag in that country was the only one that would take us. The only one that would take us from the aftermath of a bloody war, living as refugees in the basement of a shitty apartment building. This is the only country that took us in. I may not be born here, but I am Canadian. And you should be proud to be a Canadian. There isn't many countries like this. In the midst of all the bullshit that we are going through, and yes, it's hard, but I don't think most of you know what real hard is. Just count yourselves lucky. All right? Just count yourselves lucky. That's it.